Together we can end violence against women and girls. Welcome to the I Care About Her campaign and the program that has been running since November, and we are still championing the fight against gender-based violence. On the 16 days of gender activism, when we're here, we've talked to the police, we've talked to VSU, we've talked to many other people. Just last week we did talk about the role of the media in the fight against GBV. Today, interestingly, we are talking about the role of musicians in the fight against gender-based violence. And I'm happy to have the musicians with me in the studio. I have our ambassador, Brian, who's always with us. And of course, we do have the other musicians who are trained on the ICAR campaign to see how they can foster their music further and continue fighting gender-based violence. I'm happy to have you, Chileshe. Welcome to the I Care About Her program.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Right. Ambassador, always great to have you here.
It's really great to be here, and it's actually good that finally we can discuss the role of musicians in the fight against GBV. This is something we've been talking about for quite a while, but I've been speaking alone on this program, and I've always looked forward to a time when we are able to feature other musicians to come and air their views and tell us how they are contributing to the fight, and if they are not, why they are not doing so. So now we have an opportunity to feature Chileshe Bwalia. Later we'll also be joined by Kantusia Chingili, and these are female musicians, and I know in one way or another they're also raising men. So I'm sure we'll be able to talk about that as we go on.
Okay, great work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Also, I think we've also talked to UNZA students. I think last week we did talk to UNZA students.
Yes.
The other week we did talk about the media and the role. Mr. Zambia was here. And just to say that I think it's great work you're doing on the ICAR campaign.
Thank you.
Because for what I feel is you've touched all the areas, everybody is included in the ICAR campaign, and it's brilliant. So when you came up with the role of musicians, amazing. What is just the role of musicians in the fight? To start with you, Ambassador.
Okay, before I actually talk about the role of the musicians, I would like to once again make this announcement in case there are people that are not aware of this information. That 2 weeks ago we mobilized a group of 75 musicians as the I Care About Her campaign, and these musicians have been trained and they're now becoming champions for ICA, and now we'll be working with them and going to different communities to to send out a positive message on ending violence against women and girls. And these musicians play a very important role, which comes to we are now getting to me answering the question. Right. And the role that they play is the fact that they are influencers in society, and they have a very huge following. They have people that look up to them. They are role models in our society. And so everything that they do becomes like a trend. So they set standards in society on how people will behave, on how people will dress, on how people will walk, on how people will talk, the language that people will use, and even the attitudes and the norms that people will conform to are all influenced by these influencers, who can be musicians or the people we call celebrities or public figures.
Right.
So musicians play a very important role in socializing our communities to different norms, to different attitudes, to different ways of behaving. So if a musician is spreading a negative message, then the people that look up to them, the people that follow them, are likely to go with what the musician is setting. So if the musician spreads a positive message, then even their following is likely to behave in a very positive way. So musicians play the role of influencing and also entertaining and also educating. And in this case, when we talk about ICA and talking about behavioral change, talking about positive attitudes and positive norms, musicians are the ones that will now play that role of making sure that we challenge certain negative roles, certain negative norms in our community, and replace them with all the positivity that we can have.
Okay. I'm happy to welcome Kantu on the program. Welcome, Ellie.
Thank you.
But it's all good to have you on the program, Kantu.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, and the fact that well, I love you guys. I love your music, you guys. Both
Thank
of
you.
You know, and I'm happy
Thank
that
you.
you're in the campaign. I can't really wait to see what will be happening. I'm sure, Faye, that you share a lot with us. Chileshe,
Yes.
just your interest on the, maybe just to know a bit more about yourself, your background, who's Chileshe, and your interest in the GBV issue.
Okay, I always define myself basically as a child of God. There's a lot to me, so if I go on about it, I'll take too much time. My interest in the fight against violence against women is it basically stems from just being a human being. You know, it doesn't even have to be something that even though I relate to it, it's not really about that. It's just an issue of being a human being and understanding that, you know, women, no matter how much we try to fight, we are in some sense a weaker sex, and if men take advantage of the role that they have above us and, you know, are violent against women, it disheartens me, you know. So being a part of this campaign is just something big for me. I'm a victim of abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. So being able to fight for women is just, you know, it's a great opportunity for me, and I just want to be able to encourage someone out there to be able to stand up and speak out, even as they're going, if they're going through abuse, any form of abuse, they should be able to speak out, and also just to help men understand that we are human beings just as much as they are. So we shouldn't be women are not a punching bag.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Kantu. Yes. I know we've talked before, just you and me, on a one-on-one
Yes.
talk, and I think there's more that I would like you to share about your life and your interest in this campaign, and why did you go to Twangale with Ambassador Extended? Why did you just not say, okay, I'll sit back, but just the interest of taking that step to be interested in the training that you were given by Ambassador?
Well, basically, I'm a woman, and I relate with pretty much every other woman out there. We face the same problems. So if my fellow woman is in need of the information that can save her from all these abusive relationships, who am I not to render it to them? So for me, I looked at it as an opportunity to make the change that I want to see. And I'm pretty sure when we talked on a one-on-one basis, I told you that I
think
really,
the next was supposed to be lunch.
yeah. I would love to. There's so much that is wrong in our society, and most of it stems from the fact that we are so culturally and traditionally bound to our traditional norms and our cultural norms. I'm not saying that everything that is in our culture is bad, but there's elements that are really bad, and these are elements that always put women down. Women are not really given that importance that they should be given in society. And so for me, this is an opportunity to actually foster the change that I want to see. So it's more of a personal issue for me. I have friends that have been in abusive relationships. I have friends that have been battered by their husbands. I have friends that have been put down, and I've been put down as a woman as well. So for me, I really want to, this is so personal, and I am very emotional about it. I really want to make a difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Making a difference. Ambassador, the training at Twangale, tell us more about the training, the selection process, and just the outcome and where we are going, through this.
All right. So the training, like I said, was held about 2 weeks ago, and we extended this invitation to pretty much every mainstream musician in Zambia, because we needed some form of already existing influence in them for them to become champions, so that it's easier to influence a bigger section of our society. So we first started by identifying musicians that we thought were already doing the right thing and were already maybe contributing in a way to the fight against GBV, and maybe they just don't really have enough support for them to be able to do that.
Yes.
And then after that, we extended the invitation we just opened it up to everybody else So it was more like on first come, first serve basis, where the ones that sign up first are the ones that will be considered until we get to the number that we were looking for, which was 50 initially. The plan was to train 50 musicians and 25 students. But the musicians gave us a very overwhelming response.
Right.
And so we ended up doing a whole musician 3-day training.
Wow.
And we did not do the student training. I know the students are not happy about this.
And they're waiting.
And so they are waiting for their training, which is
Yes.
coming up in February. But a lot of, we had a lot of interesting conversations. It was interesting for me to actually learn that even among the musicians themselves, there are different forms of abuse that are going on. Gender-based violence in all forms, be it economical, be it physical, be it sexual, emotional, exists even within the music industry, and that even our female musicians are taken advantage of by their male counterparts, sometimes by their producers, who ask for sexual favors sometimes in order to give them studio time or to produce their music or to co-write their music. And so it was an interesting time to actually learn things that we did not know about our celebrities, because I'm equally a fan of my colleagues and I don't even know what they go through sometimes.
Right.
Because there's that distance where it's strictly work and you don't really know what goes on in their lives. But when this conversation started, everyone was expressing themselves, and we agreed in our expectations as we were beginning that we wanted to be as open as possible and just discuss gender-based violence in general from the homes we come from, within the music industry, and people brought out the issues. And, even just the interest among the male musicians was quite interesting for me, because sometimes when I look at them and I ask them, guys, why don't you join, these causes? Why don't we do this together? Sometimes they seem like they're not interested. But when we sat in that room, I got to see how they are equally affected, because in their families, they've had their siblings being abused. They have experienced it in different ways, and they've seen their neighbors, they've seen it on the streets, they've seen different things go on, and they're willing to do it, but they just never knew how they can do it. So having people like our program manager, Fides, being able to facilitate and explain how best these musicians could use their influence really motivated them to want to start. And when you look at their social media right now, most of these musicians, look at the likes of Chocolate, who is a cartoonist. He's already using his space talking about Aika. Each and every day he's coming up with a cartoon,
Wow.
to talk about different situations that happen where, for example, there's one I saw last week where this man is telling the girl child to say, you don't have to go to school because somebody will marry you and you will be in the kitchen. Let your brother go to school. And then the brother challenges the father and says, no, daddy, if you my sister equally has to go to school. So he's doing all these cartoons, and I've seen many other, of our 75 champions also, posting on their social media and talking about how they really want to do this, and it's just amazing. And going forward, we have been working in the past 1 week. Ladies first, so I'll let them explain what we have been doing and what we'll be doing next week.
I became comfortable, and I'm saying thank you very much, Brian.
So I'll let them do the explaining of what has been happening the last 1 week.
Yes.
And what will be happening in the next 1 week.
Okay, so first, before we just get to that, I just want to know your experience, Chileshe. How was your experience, the 3-day experience? How was it like, even up to the end as you got your certificates? I saw on social media. Yeah, just how was your experience exactly?
My experience in the training was very enlightening, and it also just helped me to deal with certain things that I hadn't dealt with myself. Just getting to hear about how much people care, especially the fact that there was fewer women in the room. There was more men. To actually hear that there's men who care and want to support women in this cause, it was just very, it was heartwarming, it was enlightening, it was mind shaking basically, and it's just pushed me to do more, because I feel like sometimes you feel like you're doing enough. I speak to women one-on-one, I counsel women here and there, but to actually utilize the platform, I never really thought that I could just go out there and actually speak about it, because it's sometimes you feel like okay, I'm dealing with it from the inside, I'm dealing with an individual privately, but then when you go out there, you actually discover that there's a lot of people there's more people that you could actually reach out to, and who are going to be influenced by you to come out and speak out. Especially myself being a victim of abuse, actually talking about it on my social media platforms has actually brought out a lot of women who said, I've dealt with that too. How have you healed? How have you, how have you spoken out, and what have you done to get through with this? So
interestingly, it's the healing process. And I think Ambassador on the program, I've always talked about the issue is not people are not reporting. Yeah. Why are women still withdrawing cases? Mm-hmm. Why do they withdraw cases? How are we handling these cases as people? How are we talking to them? And some you would find even going in the communities.
Sure.
They say, when I went to police, they were already, condemning me as a woman. They were already giving me this negative attitude. How do they open up to you, to say, I think I'm in this, particular, yes. How is it?
And that's the thing, because I was telling Brian yesterday that in my experience, I didn't speak out for a very long time because I was threatened. I was told so many people would be affected if I spoke out about it. And you find that even women who are being abused, maybe they're being threatened that they'll be killed if they speak out. Right. But if there's somewhere they can go where they will feel safe, where they know that if I speak out, I'm protected from this person, and the law is going to deal with them, whether it's a husband, whether it's what. Because sometimes abusers are very manipulative. So even if someone goes and reports to the police station, the next day the person is going to come and sort of try and sweet talk them. But if we try and break that, that space where someone has the opportunity to go back to the abuser and hear from them, then it would actually really help a lot. And just even that, like you said, the police condemning you, what were you doing? Maybe you were not dressed right. Maybe
sometimes
you did this. Maybe
and it's this negative,
Precisely.
Yes.
It's really sad, and we need to deal with that. And just also have a lot more safe places where people can actually go and stay. If it's because sometimes I heard of a lady who was chased from the home. She's being beaten up and she's chased. But where does she go in the middle of the night? If there's a place where she knows that if I go to this place, I'm going to be safe and I won't have to go back there, then it really would help a lot.
Right. And just before I lose that thought, I think we've had VSU, Mr. CMA, Inspector CMA coming on the program, and he did talk about how effective the protection order is, where women are protected, can be protected. Even there's a fund that goes to the women, and you're protected if there's a home where you're paying rent. It extends. So if the perpetrator can even actually be moved out, and you can be protected, and they will ensure that you are fine and they are paid for, and there's always a fund. So I think these are the many things that people didn't know, and I think through championing this campaign and talking about it, a lot of issues and awareness has been raised. Kanto, how was your experience? The 3-day experience with your fellow musicians?
It was fun. it was fun. It really was. Musicians are very fun people to be with, to hang out with in such times. But at the end of the day, the experience was really, really amazing. I got to learn of experiences like those of Chileshes and many other women out there. Although we were just a few women in there, but yeah, I learned quite a lot. I wasn't really, I knew of GBV. Whenever someone talked about gender-based violence, the first thing that would come to my mind was a woman being beaten. Yeah, exactly. But there are a lot of forms of GBV, and I got to learn that, and I really want to a lot of women to know of all these things. Right. Yeah, so the experience was really, really amazing. Awesome. I can't wait to get into the field and actually disseminate this information.
What have you been doing the last 5 weeks?
Have you had Ambassador?
We're already in the field.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't rest.
Yes.
No, we haven't
I just
rested.
can't wait to hear your collaboration, to see that song, those songs that you come up with, as a whole, as one, one Zambia song, and I'm pretty...
I actually want them to talk about that.
Yes, and the song, I want them to sing.
Something about the song.
I want them to sing.
Well, so basically, this past week, was it past week? Past Saturday, Yeah, this past week, musicians have been in the studio.
Right.
We've been working on a theme song, and the song is basically talking about oneness in the fight against gender-based violence. People need to realize that every woman is not just any woman. Every woman is your sister. Every woman is your daughter. You know, things like that.
Friend,
So yeah, friend, and every woman needs to be protected. You may not know what they're going through behind closed doors. The only thing that you can do is open your arms and embrace them and take care of them. So we're hoping that everyone is going to really love the song because we put in all the effort. And this coming week, we will be working on the video. So I don't think people have seen musicians come together
How
in
many?
one. 75? How many are we?
50
50.
on the
Oh, we're 50 on the song, and you.
It's the Zambian We Are the World.
Yeah.
Wow. All these beautiful voices put up together.
Put together. Just imagine how beautiful this song is.
Right.
Yeah.
Ambassador.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to working with our new champions. I think it's going to be fun. We can see that the levels of interest are really, really high. And I must also make mention that these are people that have volunteered their talents to this cause because they really care about her and they really care about ending violence against women and girls. So I'm looking forward to rolling out, and I don't want ICA to end. I am strongly advocating against the end to ICA and advocating for the end to GBV.
Right.
So we need ICA to continue, and so this training was strategically done. It's been done at a time when all these musicians have been making so much music and they've already made their names, but it's time for them to now give back, to do something more meaningful than just dancing, than just entertaining, but edutaining this time around. And so a lot of them are looking at their legacy. How do I want to be remembered? I think this is the best platform that they can utilize for them to create and leave a great legacy for themselves.
And when Kanto was talking, I think she did mention something to say before I only thought it was just physical violence. Through this campaign, since I joined it, I've had to read a lot and know the different forms of violence. I think the first production was Through My Eyes, and it opened me up to just know the different forms of violence. And even through the program, we featured Habenzu, the lady from the ZAF, and all these other people, and different forms of violence. Even in school last week, when we're talking to the students of higher learning institutions, they did talk about sexual violence and what really goes on, in these institutions. So different forms of violence, and when
even
you can
being deprived an opportunity of vying for a position like Unzasu president because you're a woman.
Right. So we have been going in the communities through this campaign, but we will just show you a clip of what has been happening in the communities. We'll be right back.
Zambia continues to record an increase of gender-based violence, despite the much effort being diverted towards curbing the vice. Most cases recorded in the past were against women, but it is shocking as present cases recorded have revealed a 10% increase of violence against men. These statistics have prompted the local authorities to tighten their grip in curbing the vice. Minister of Gender Elizabeth Piri says the high levels of people engaging in beer drinking has greatly contributed to an increase of violence, and gender-based violence topping the list.
I know one of the major causes of GBV is here. When somebody is acting under the influence of alcohol, they can do anything. And these people who act under the influence of alcohol, when they do something bad, when they find themselves in problems because of gender-based violence, in the end of the day, they'll realize it was not them that were acting, but it was a spirit of alcoholism behind that act. So I'm advising the people that they should be responsible. Let's reduce drinking. After all, I'm just from announcing the results of the grade 9s. Soon they'll need to prepare, our the future leaders for their school. So let us save much money. New Year is just an ordinary day, like any other day. So let us not be, very careless in spending. Let us know that we are parents and we have a responsibility.
Ms. Piri explains that it is every citizen's race to run by being responsible and avoiding gender-based violence by solving issues amicably. Gender-based violence is the term used to describe harm inflicted upon individuals and groups that is connected to normative understanding of their gender. In the third quarter of 2018, Zambia police recorded a total number of 1,894 cases of gender-based violence, of which 632 cases resulted in death. Reporting for Muvi TV News, Namangolo Mshokabanji.
Welcome back. You're still watching the I Care About Her campaign program. This program is brought to you by Faweza and Partners with support from Oxfam. We're continuing the fight against gender-based violence. Just before looking at the clip, you're looking at statistics which continue to rise. And even then you see that even men and women, are being battered as well. Just your thought on what's still going on, a champion. I know we've been championing this campaign, but still there's a lot happening out there.
We actually got to discuss the statistics during the musicians training workshop, and we tried to look at the statistics from what year, from 2011 to about 2017 or 18, and we saw the increase like year by year. And so we talked about, different factors that contribute to, the rise in terms of the reported cases. And so we talked about the negatives and the positives of having such statistics. And one of obviously the negatives is that we keep having these cases of gender-based violence, and it's a very sad state of affairs. It derails us in our trying to achieve that, development that we're looking for as a country. We can't develop if, one section of the society, which is the women, is being abused, is being deprived of opportunity, is not being given a seat at the decision-making table, is not given a seat in parliament, is not given, an opportunity to be great, but is told to remain in the kitchen. We can't achieve development like that. So those are the negatives of having, a continued increase in the cases of the, gender-based violence. But there's also a positive side. I think our champions, do you remember the positive side?
I will. I like the positive side. And I think, just before you come in, Chileshe, when Kanto was talking, she did talk about these traditions and culture, and when, embedded in all these things, and when we are growing, of course, we grew up in a situation that looks like the patriarchal system. Daddy's chair, there were roles. Girls have to be in the kitchen, and boys have to do certain kind of things. And I think through this campaign, you're trying to break all those cultural, because there's a root cause of all these issues. And probably you would like to share more.
It would be, it's really saddening, because when you look at in most cultures, in most tribes, there's different ways there's different cultural, what do you call them, norms that they adhere to. And most of these norms and even sayings, there are certain sayings that, is it okay if I give an example of one?
Yes.
There's this particular one.
I've heard it, but it's fine.
There's this particular one that really degrades women. And if you continue to use it, and it's really demeaning and degrading, and it affects the way men actually treat women.
What's that?
It's a Bembo one.
You might be able to say what that means.
I don't know what that means, because I don't use it, and I don't need to use it.
You see, and I've heard several people use it.
Right.
How do you equate a human being to feces? Obviously, I know they use it, according to one person's explanation, they say they use it to say that women are many. You know, when Mpombo, is it a goat? Is it?
No, it's
a
antelope.
An antelope.
I knew.
Yeah,
I
when
knew
when
that
when,
ambassador.
but when you look at it, he says there are a lot.
So
you know,
it's more like degrading women. And I
Yes.
think just last week when we were on the program, when we had other students, there were certain terms that they call women. Remember when they were saying it on the program?
Yes.
And how they feel, you know, diminished, you know, they
Yes.
just feel, I don't think it's right. And I think
No.
that's exactly what the
This
campaign is all about.
Yes.
Changing the attitudes,
Yes.
And
you know.
challenging those norms.
Exactly.
because
you
when
know.
you look at such terms, such sayings, they really, most men will actually use it to justify why they treat women the way they do. And we have to realize that this is culturally embedded in them. It's a saying, it's a cultural saying. So how do we go against such things? It's by changing people's perspectives
Right.
towards some of these cultural norms. We are not saying that every cultural norm is bad. We just need to draw the line between that which is bad and keep that which is good.
Right.
Yeah.
Chileshe, I know I cut you before I brought in Kantu, but the thoughts, I wanted her to finish it up, but
Yes.
you can finish on the thoughts of.
So yes, I was going to say one of the positives of the statistics is the fact that there's more people that are actually coming out and reporting, which makes it easier for us to actually deal with the problem. And I think in as much as it's sad that the number is increasing, it's also good the fact that people are actually going to the police and reporting their cases, so we get to know what really is the real number, what really is happening out there, and how much more work that needs to be done.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what was the best? I want to talk about your training. You know, I'm excited. You know, the best part. What is it that you got from the training? You know, going through the training and everything. Just what was your best part, and how are we going to use that to continue championing the fight against gender-based violence as musicians?
I think for me, it's just really understanding that this issue is really bigger than it seems sometimes, and also looking deeper into the cultural norms. Especially, I feel like that has really affected that a lot. I grew up in a home where my father said he was very strict about it. He said when he grew up, the women were not educated, only the men. So for him, educating his daughters is a big thing. Even up to now, he's always made sure that he wants to educate his daughters, and there's a form of equality with his children. So, you know, maybe I may have been blinded to the fact that it's not the same in every other home, and getting to see that other women are being oppressed from the time they're growing up in their homes is just it's sad. And you know, it's allowed people to also it's allowed women to allow themselves to be abused and not stand up for themselves, you know. So I mean, for me, when I went through abuse, I was a little girl, so it was then easy for a person who's older than me to oppress me. But then growing up also, I've learned to speak out and just come out and not allow the opposite sex to oppress me, and just be able to stand up for myself and speak for myself as a woman. And my father truly supports that. And if we could have more parents that would raise their daughters like that, raise their children like that, where they tell, even just the sons, tell them, this is your sister, yes, but treat her equally. Don't fight with her, don't hit her, because if brothers are hitting sisters, she's going to accept if her husband is going to just hit her and allow it to happen, and you know, sort of hide away from it. And also just the society around us, people saying things like, your husband loves you if he hits you, or you're going to embarrass him if you expose the abuse. You know, hearing such things from the training has really opened up my mind, and it's really made me wake up to what is happening out there. I may not be going through abuse now, but there's a sister out there, there's a friend, there's a mother who's going out there, and it hurts to think that the privileges that I have, the other woman doesn't have. Yeah.
Champion, what activities are we looking forward to, after the training? What exactly are we going to do? What are the activities have you lined up for the musicians to just continue?
So for now, we have, like mentioned, been working on the theme song, and this theme song is very important for the campaign, and we are definitely going to promote it for a period of time. I can imagine when all the 50 artists that are on the song begin promoting it and telling their fans about the song and making sure that their fans get to watch the video. So next week we have the video shoot, and everything will be done in Lusaka. We are using local production houses. We're using our local champions. Everything is local because local is Laka. And after that, we want to make sure that the video is on TV. So in the next 2 weeks, we hope and pray that it will definitely be on Muvi TV. And I know that this might be our second last episode, but we hope to show it. We hope to extend our episodes so that we can show the video, and we hope it will be on heavy rotation. So promoting the song and promoting the video is definitely on top of our list of activities. We are also scheduled to do a number of road shows in the community. We're going to different communities. Initially, we're supposed to touch Chongwe, Lusaka, and Kafue. Apart from that, we're also supposed to go back to the other communities where we have been going in the past, like Southern Province, to go and meet our community champions, because we have left them doing the work. But every year we always make an effort to go back and see them and see how they are doing, what progress they've been making, how many lives they've been able to change and transform through the amazing work that they do in the community. So we'll be going back to have those community interactions. We have all those activities that we have under a tree, where we sit down with the family or we sit down with members of a particular community and just get to hear about their testimonies, how they've come out of abusive relationships, or how they have been transformed from being perpetrators to becoming champions of ending violence against women and girls. So we will be going to do all that. And many more activities that are still being planned and lined up, and they are yet to be announced to our new champions. And we'll be picking. So right now, of course, we can't have all the 50 here, but we had to. It's actually not easy to pick 2 people, but we had to say, okay, so we're starting with Chile Shewalia and Kantusi Achengiri to be on the TV program. Next week, we might pick 2 other people or 3 other people to go for a different activity. So it's work in progress.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know I've always asked you, champion, on this fora, but just for the sake of people out there that could have, maybe they didn't watch or catch us, your passion behind these issues as our ambassador. What keeps you driving as our ambassador all the time without getting tired?
Wow. There are so many issues and examples and scenarios that influenced my decision to become an activist or an advocate for women's rights. And firstly, it's because of my own background. I was raised by a single mother who never really had an education, and she had to make sure that she got an education. She empowered herself to go back to school. She tried tailoring, she tried medicine, becoming a nurse. She tried different things. She tried being what they used to call UT, untrained teacher, back in the days. And she, looking at her, she's my greatest inspiration, because I saw what she managed to do as a single woman to make sure that she raised men and instilled very good values in me and my young brother. And also, looking at her struggles and how she failed to achieve certain things. She struggled to do certain things, but she still went on and tried. And so for me, it's like I was going to continue with her vision and her dream of wanting to make, something better for the family. And I talk about this on my song, Dear Mama, where I say, Vose viloto vanu nizapitiliza nizafikiliza mama. So it's like I am living my mother's dream and amplifying the voice of my mother. And it's not just my mother, because I know that many other women out there have gone through the things that my mother has gone through, the challenges of being a single mother and raising boys and raising girls and raising children, not having employment, not having an opportunity to go to school, but still trying so hard. So that has been a very, great influence in my decision to become an activist. And apart from that, I also always mention that in the year 2011, when the current government just took office, the then gender minister, who is now our vice president, Madam Inonge Wina, had a meeting with musicians, and that was the first time I was hearing of these statistics and how the cases of GBV continue to increase. So she brought out these statistics and challenged the musicians to say, you guys are in a very influential position, but how are you using your talents? Are you only going to be entertaining, and you won't care about making sure that these cases reduce and we end violence against women and girls in our country? And I felt challenged. I looked at my background, where I'm coming from a family where I've been raised by a woman, and then I look at what's happening to a woman in my community. I said, I cannot continue to just be an entertainer. I have to be an edutainer. And that was my turning point. And so as we entered 2012, I began working on an album called Voiceless Woman, and we did a collaboration with Judy on a song called Cry of a Woman. And I've never looked back, and it's been an amazing journey, and I'm loving to see the impact and seeing more activists come on board. Kantu is a very good example of somebody that I met a long time ago, and she's been a musician, but at some point she approached me and she said, I love what you're doing. And honestly speaking, I'm very passionate about these things that you do. I don't want to be an artist who is just looked at merely as an entertainer. I want to become an activist. I want to do the kind of things that you do, and even more. I said, this is amazing. And so we met more often and discussed until we began working together. And now she's a big-time activist.
One thing I love, it's if we look at the I Care About Her campaign, Together We Can End Violence Against Women and Girls, it has involved the police, attitude change. We've seen VSU come here, we've seen Mr. Mshauko come here, and if I've seen a change of attitudes with the police and all these other people. We've involved the church, in this campaign, traditional leaders, where I think I was privileged to be part of where we traveled to Rufunsa, to just see how, the team, the champions were going out in the field to just train, and the passion, behind this campaign. I've talked to you, Kantu, on a one-on-one talk, and I think the last conversation we had, you did talk about empowerment of women, and I think you even mentioned, I work hard, and this guy bought it because I work hard. Yes. One aspect of women, if you empower yourself, all these issues, begin to, reduce once as a woman. Maybe just to tell us more as well.
When I always love to tell women that in order for you to defend yourself, to speak up for yourself, you need to be well informed. There's no way you can speak out against something if you do not have any, if you don't have information about it, and if you do not know if it's right or wrong. So as women, we need to take time to learn about all these issues. Let us be informed, well informed, and as we make decisions, we will be making decisions from an informed point of view. So basically, when I look at everything I've been through, and then I look at, I started following B-Flow, as he said, like I was following him, I was like, but this guy is, like, I always wondered how he slept at night, certain things that he would say were so deep, and I started following him, and I got really inspired, and I said, you know what, let me not be the kind of person that is going to corrupt morals, because at the end of the day, I have young kids looking up to me, and so that's how I got to approach him, and he mentored me really. He gave me insight on how to go about it, and I started following suit, and I do not regret the decision to become an activist, because I sleep well at night, even when women inbox me and tell me, you know what you said when you said this, really, really just got me thinking, and I changed my life because of what you said.
Yeah.
For me, it was very fulfilling, and then I started feeling like my career as a musician is meaningful now because I can bring change into someone's life.
Right.
I bring hope to those people that do not have that hope, and just showing them and being an example with the way I live my life, and the way I've been able to actually even take myself to school after, just to help my parents out. I took myself back to school. I went and I did my master's. And for kids out there, they look up to me and they say, oh my God, I really want to be like you.
Right.
And so it's incumbent upon me to become that kind of activist that is going to speak on their behalf and hopefully make a change for them, so that as they get to this point I'm at, they shouldn't have to go through everything I went through in order for me to get to where I am today. Yeah. So
As we wind up, each one of you will look in the screens and just tell us your message out there to other people. Ambassador, you'll be the last one because it's your music, and then we will show the other music as well. I'll start with Chileshe.
Wow, there's a lot to say. Where am I looking? Over there, okay. Well, I just want to speak out to the women out there. Know that you are loved, know that you are cared for, and know that you are valuable. And no one should ever oppress you and make you feel like you're less than just because you're a woman. We are powerful, we are intelligent, we are amazing people, strong women. We deserve the best just as much as every man out there.
I just want to say that whatever it is that you're going through, you are not alone. Learn to speak out for yourself, because remember that there's only going to be one you, and if you do not look out for yourself, nobody else is going to look out for you. It is a cold world out there, and people will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. So as a woman, as Chile Chevalier said, you are beautiful, you are wonderful, you are amazing. Let no one make you feel like you do not deserve anything more. You can aspire to be more. You can be anything that you dream of being. Just make sure that you pray, put God above everything else, and yeah, always just feel comfortable in your own skin.
I also
Yeah.
think something. But thank you for including me on the I Care About Her campaign. It has been great. I have learned a lot on the I Care campaign. Every day has been a learning, curve, and I think it's given me a sort of comfort, being on the campaign, a healing process, from the time that we started in 2013. Ambassador.
Thank you very much. We have a new slogan on ICA that we'll be using with the musicians, and we are talking to the good men and we're saying, silence is violence. If you're going to be silent about the issues that are going on in your community and about the other men that are busy perpetuating this violence against women and girls, then you're also contributing to the increase in the violence against women and girls. So I am challenging and calling on every good man out there to speak up and to speak out against any incidences and instances of violence against women and girls that you see in the workplace, in the community, and among the people that you hang out with. Let's make sure that we speak out, because if we do not, then the only headlines that we'll always get to hear about are the headlines that are being made by the perpetrators of violence against women and girls. So speak out, speak up, and never ever be silent about gender-based violence.
One last part, I don't want to forget this on this program, is how the ICA campaign works with everyone.
Yes.
It also works to rehabilitate people. Our first champion we had featured on Muvi TV was once a perpetrator. He was jailed, may his soul rest in peace, and he was a champion, and he changed, he was pardoned, and there he was, as a champion after coming out of prison, and they're doing that even in prison, champion.
And so there's been a General Kanene issue that we have been talking about, because General Kanene is one of the 75 musicians that attended our training. And so as we conclude, I must make mention that our involving General Kanene has nothing to do with endorsing any negative attitudes or allowing him to violate women's rights. our inviting him to the training was for him to get information that can be useful in his rehabilitation and in his transformation. And I can only pray that in the near future, ICA may link him to other, partners of ours like YWCA that offer counseling services, other partners like the church that
Zambian
also
National Men's Network.
exactly
and
to be able to give him the support that he needs for him to be the man that society wants him to be, because we know that a lot of people are concerned. So we really greatly appreciate the feedback that we've gotten from the people, and we are not taking it for granted. We'll definitely act upon everything that we have been told. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much. We've come to the end of the I Care About Her TV program. Join us next week at 10 hours to 11 hours as we continue championing the fight against gender-based violence. Good morning. And what song are we remaining? What song have we selected, champion?
Today, I would love us to play a song called Side Plate, because having side plates and having multiple concurrent sexual partnerships is one of the reasons there is gender-based violence out there, especially the physical abuse, because women try to challenge these things to say, why are you cheating on me? And the man wants to be, I don't know if it's defensive or abusive, and they begin to, violate their wives' rights. If we don't have that one, then we can play Shalapo, which is a video or a song that talks about walking away from an abusive relationship.
Shalapo. Okay. Together we can
end violence against women and girls.
Fiança, fiona, fianha,